She Who Roared for Mercy. Chapter 8. The Strength to Stand Together. Truth Statement. My born city of Chicago never slept, it took naps, it rested. But in this fictional yet spiritually reflective, learning story, that night, it could not. The streets remained illuminated by emergency lights. Police vehicles blocked several roads. Scientists continued monitoring the underground movement. Military personnel established protective positions around the areas affected by the tremors. And beneath everything, something continued moving. Slowly. Patiently. Waiting. BJ stood near the shoreline with She Who Roared for Mercy. Across Lake Michigan, the other enormous creatures remained gathered. They had come because they were afraid. Now they remained because they had chosen something different. They had chosen to stand together. BJ looked toward them. Nobody attacks unless someone is directly threatening innocent life. That includes all of you. One of the creatures answered with a low roar. BJ listened. We agree. Another creature responded. We will protect the city. BJ nodded. Then we understand one another. She Who Roared for Mercy lowered her head. BJ looked up. What? She answered. You are teaching them. BJ smiled. I'm not teaching them everything. He looked across the lake. They're teaching me too, especially you. A tremor shook the ground. The creatures immediately became alert. BJ remained still. Everybody stay calm. The ground shook again. A massive crack opened near an abandoned industrial area. Concrete collapsed. Dust rose into the air. Then something emerged. At first, BJ saw only a portion of its enormous body. Then another. Then its head. It was larger than She Who Roared for Mercy. Much, much larger. Did I say that it was larger? Oh right, I did. Its body appeared covered in thick natural armor. Its eyes were pale. Cold. Focused. It slowly lifted itself from beneath the earth. The creature looked toward Chicago. Then toward the other enormous beings. Then finally toward BJ. Its voice echoed through the city. Look at you. BJ listened. You have convinced them to stand together. BJ answered, I just told them the truth. They chose to stand together. The creature laughed. You gave them hope. BJ nodded. No, the truth did that. I am just the vessel in which the truth has been revealed. The creature's expression changed. Hope is dangerous. BJ looked at She Who Roared for Mercy. She stepped forward. The creature immediately released a warning roar. She stopped. BJ raised his hand. Don't. She looked at him. Why? Because it wants you angry. She became still. BJ understood. The creature beneath Chicago was not simply powerful. It was manipulative. It wanted fear. It wanted anger. It wanted the creatures, and the people, to react emotionally. Because once they lost control, it would have an opportunity to divide them again. This tactic felt ominously familiar. BJ looked toward the enormous enemy. You want them to fight? The creature answered. Yes. Why? Because divided creatures, and people, are easier to control. BJ nodded. So that's what you've always done. The creature smiled. Yes. BJ looked toward the others. Don't listen to it. One creature asked. How do we know what is true? BJ answered. Test what you hear. The creature became quiet. BJ continued. Don't believe something simply because it sounds powerful. He looked toward the enormous enemy. Ask questions. At the same time, the people and another creature asked. What questions? BJ answered. Who benefits from our fear? Silence. Who benefits when we hate one another? Another silence. Who benefits when we believe that we have no choice? The creatures looked toward the enemy. BJ continued. Discernment means examining what you hear before allowing it to control you. She who roared for mercy nodded. The enemy became angry. You teach them suspicion. BJ shook his head. No. I teach them, through the word of God, and through my learned life experience, discernment. And yes, I myself, outside of this fictional series, I am still learning this. The creature beneath Chicago roared. The sound knocked people off balance. Several buildings shook. The creatures surrounding the city moved forward. BJ shouted. Stay together, and watch your six. She who roared for mercy stepped beside him. The enemy looked at her. You. She remained silent. You were always the problem. BJ looked at her. The creature continued. You refused to obey. She answered. I refused to hurt others. The creature laughed. That is why you are weak. She looked toward BJ. BJ nodded. Don't answer anger with anger. She lowered her head. The enemy became frustrated. It expected her to attack. She refused. The creature suddenly attacked. Its enormous body moved forward. The ground shook violently. The creatures surrounding Chicago responded. They did not attack the city. They moved together. One blocked the creature's path. Another moved behind it. Another protected the shoreline. Another shielded an evacuation route. She who roared for mercy stood at the center. BJ watched in amazement, awe, and thanksgiving. Nobody had commanded them. They had simply learned to cooperate. The enemy struck one creature. Another immediately moved to protect it. The first creature recovered. Then it moved back into position. BJ smiled. That's it. A military officer looked at him. What? They're not fighting as individuals anymore. He watched the creatures coordinate. They're protecting one another. The officer nodded. That may be our only advantage. BJ shook his head. No. The officer looked at him. It's more than an advantage. BJ pointed toward the creatures. Look at them. It's trust. The battle continued. But something was different. The creatures were not seeking revenge. They were not trying to destroy their enemy. They were trying to contain it. Every time one creature was knocked backward, another helped it recover. Every time the enemy attempted to reach the city, another creature blocked its path. She who roared for mercy refused to pursue the enemy. She stayed near the city. Protecting. BJ understood why. She was demonstrating the difference between defense and vengeance. She was not trying to punish the enemy. She was trying to prevent destruction. BJ whispered. That's mercy with boundaries. Then the enemy broke through. It pushed past the creatures. It moved toward Chicago. People began running. Military weapons were raised. BJ looked toward she who roared for mercy. Now. She roared. The other creatures responded. They moved together. Not separately. Together. The enemy stopped. For the first time, it appeared uncertain. BJ stepped forward. "You're not stronger than all of them." The creature growled. "I am stronger than each one." BJ nodded. "That's one of the reasons why they stopped fighting one another." The creature stared at him. BJ continued. "You taught them that strength meant standing alone." He pointed toward the creatures. They discovered, through hearing the truth, that strength can also mean standing together. The enemy became furious. It roared. BJ did not move. "You're afraid." The creature froze. BJ continued. "You're afraid that if they stop fearing you, you won't be able to control them." The creature's eyes narrowed. BJ had found the truth. The enemy suddenly became quiet. Then it spoke. "You think you have won?" BJ shook his head. "No." The creature looked surprised. "This is not about winning." "Then what is it about?" BJ looked toward the creatures. "Choosing." The creature stared at him. BJ continued. "Every one of us gets to choose what we do with our strength." He looked toward she who roared for mercy. She chose mercy. Then toward the creature from Lake Michigan. He chose forgiveness. Then toward the others. They chose cooperation. Finally, BJ looked toward the enemy. "And you have chosen control." The creature became silent. BJ continued. "But you can choose differently." The enemy laughed. "After everything I have done?" BJ nodded. "Yes." She who roared for mercy looked at BJ. The other creatures became silent. The enemy stared at him. "You would forgive me?" BJ answered. "Forgiveness is not mine, or anyone else's to force." He paused. "But I would not, and neither should anyone else, deny you, or anyone else, in fiction or real life, the opportunity to change." The creature's expression shifted. It asked why. BJ Mayfield answered immediately. "Because God doesn't." For the first time, BJ saw something beneath the anger. Pain. Deep pain. Ancient pain. The creature whispered. "No one has ever said that to me." BJ's voice softened. "Maybe that's why you've spent so long trying to control everyone else." The creature lowered its head. The city became silent. She who roared for mercy stepped forward. BJ looked at her. She approached the enormous enemy. For a moment, they stood face to face. Then she spoke. "I forgive you." The creature did not move. She continued. "But forgiveness does not mean that I will allow you to hurt others." The creature slowly closed its eyes. BJ watched carefully. The creature finally whispered. "I don't know how to stop." BJ answered. "Then start by stopping." The creature opened its eyes. BJ continued. "You don't have to solve everything tonight." He pointed toward the ground. "Just stop." The creature looked around. The other creatures remained ready. Humanity remained cautious. But nobody attacked. The creature slowly lowered its body. The conflict stopped. Morning began to break over Chicago. The city had survived another night. But BJ knew the story was not finished. The enormous creature remained under observation. The other creatures returned to their positions. Humanity began rebuilding damaged areas. Scientists started documenting everything that had happened. And she who roared for mercy stood quietly beside BJ. BJ looked at her. "Are you okay?" She nodded. I'm tired. BJ smiled. Me too. She looked toward Chicago. They heard me. BJ nodded. Yes. She looked toward the people. They did not destroy us. BJ answered. No. She looked toward the sky. Do you think that they will always listen? BJ thought for a moment. He responded honestly. No. She looked at him. Then what will happen? BJ smiled. Then we'll keep reminding them. She lowered her head. Of what? BJ looked toward the city. That listening is a choice. Later that morning, BJ stood before a group of reporters. Microphones were placed in front of him. Cameras pointed toward him. Everyone wanted answers. One reporter asked, BJ, are these creatures safe? BJ answered, we don't know yet. Another asked, can humanity trust them? BJ replied, trust must be earned. Another asked, do you believe that the creatures are good? BJ paused. I believe that some are trying to do what is right. Then another reporter asked the question everyone had been waiting for. Why can you hear them? BJ looked toward She Who Roared for Mercy. Then he looked back at the cameras. I don't know. He paused. But I know what I am responsible for. What we all are responsible for. What's that, BJ? Listening carefully. BJ continued. Because hearing something and understanding it are not always the same thing. The reporters became quiet. BJ looked directly into the cameras and continued. And sometimes, understanding requires more than ears. He placed his hand over his heart. It requires wisdom. That evening, Chicago watched the sunset. For the first time, the enormous creatures were no longer simply shadows on the horizon. They had names now. Stories. Fears. Memories. And choices. She Who Roared for Mercy stood beside the lake. BJ stood beside her. The city lights reflected across the water. Then she suddenly turned toward the horizon. BJ noticed. What is it? She listened. Her expression changed. BJ waited. Finally, she spoke. Something is coming. BJ looked toward the darkening sky. Another enemy. She shook her head. No. What then? She looked toward him. A message. BJ frowned. From whom? She stared toward the horizon. Someone who has been watching us. A distant light appeared in the sky. Not an aircraft. Not a creature. Something else. BJ looked upward. And for the first time since this strange journey began, She Who Roared for Mercy did not know what the message meant. BJ whispered. Looks like we're about to learn something new. The light grew brighter. The city watched. And somewhere beyond the clouds, something was approaching Chicago. Not with a roar. But with a voice.